Shut up and sit down.
Welcome once again to the Shite podcast show. Mark and Ken.
What's the crack?
Once again on episode 148 of the Shite podcast show.
Yeah.
We are getting very, very close to 150. We're only two away.
Oh, jeez, you did maths correctly.
Yeah, yay! Can add two on.
How long did you practice that one?
I wrote it down. I don't know. I guess like what 150's halfway to 500 yet, right? Huh? It's kind of good. But yeah, I guess it's a slight milestone. 150. We're approaching. We're only 50 off 200.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting there. Maybe by the end of the year we'll be at 200.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
probably not.
We're probably going to get into complicated maths where we just add weeks onto the end of the year. Like, there's probably somebody who could do that, but not live on air. Let's not do that. let's try to learn life lessons each week. When I'm don't do maths on air.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's been, in terms of week of stories, I feel like I don't think we have a coronavirus story this week.
Not particularly, no.
No, not particularly. We do, but we have a new pandemic to deal with, apparently. And once again, this one does come from China. Apparently, we get a second outbreak of swine flu, Ken.
Yeah.
Just as you think we're getting over the coronavirus, swine flu comes back for a second go.
Yeah. Way to go, swine flu.
Yeah, well, they said that the potential to be a pandemic.
Like, I don't remember swine flu being that big of a deal.
No, I don't really remember. I just think they had to kill a load of pigs and cull a few herds once it got into a herd. But I don't think it wasn't as contagious as the coronavirus. So I don't necessarily. The only thing it would be if it could be passed through animals, like if it could be passed from pigs to birds. I don't know the likelihood of that is. Then it could get into like birds that fly to the, different farms and just things like that. That's what way it could spread. But yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I don't remember it being mental .
Yeah, me neither. So maybe they can get a good handle on this right now, since everyone's in the whole team of fighting, and is it like a disease that we know about? So I'm pretty sure they have treatment for swine flu.
Yeah, it's a new strand though.
Hopefully the old strand works just as well. Coronavirus was similar to other coronavirus, but treatments vary. So yeah, I guess it depends how different the strain is.
Yeah, I just briefly seen a thing about it, and they were saying it's some new strain of it.
I think focusing on pandemics and potential pandemics probably is not the best way to live your life. So I don't think it's a great thing. Let's hope for, I guess, the Irish farmers' sake and world farmers that doesn't start to spread outside China, and the Chinese can keep a good lid on it, because they have a great track record of this kind of thing.
Do they?
No, they have a fucking horrible record of it. Jesus, I think 3 or 4 different pandemics or viruses came from China and spread up worldwide.
At least 3 or 4.
Yeah, deal with yourself.
Yeah.
But I guess we're not going to get. I guess we're going to be censored now in China.
Probably, as if we weren't already.
Yeah, I can't even remember last time we had a Chinese listener. It was probably a while. We definitely had a few over the years, but that could be from learning English.
Yeah.
Which we probably put them to last week's show where we went through Irish slang. Might be very educational if you are trying to learn English or just Irish slang.
A good starting point.
Well, yeah, I don't know how well we explained ourselves, but we went over your man, langer, gee or gee bag, all the important ones, really.
Yeah, all the big ones.
Yeah, if you want to survive a college year in Ireland, you kind of need to know these things. But yeah, I think, do you know, we were talking about our stories there at the start, and we're going through that we didn't actually have any coronavirus ones. And I actually came across one, a story that I was wondering myself anyway about, because this guy is all over the internet, but no one really knows anything about him. He's called Wordy Joe Bear the Third. And now by his name, you probably actually don't really recognize him, but he's one of the biggest features of memes this year, especially since the outbreak of the coronavirus. He is the giant black guy with the big dick. I know it narrows it down to a small few, but this is the guy that you see on all memes. You see him in basketball crowds, at fights, on like memorials for iconic American leaders. You see him everywhere, and particularly in the coronavirus meme circles, you see him a lot. So Vice decided to do a piece on Wordy Joe Bear the Third.
That's a brilliant name.
It is a fantastic name. So it kind of went into who he was as a person. And like I said, Vice did this documentary. If you go under a Facebook page, you should be able to find it. And we might actually share the piece ourselves. So if you're on the Shite podcast show sometime between Thursday and Friday, we probably will have shared the story. And yeah, like he actually has or had a very interesting life. Unfortunately, he died, I think, back in 2016. Now, for some reason...
He didn't even get to see his own fame.
Yeah, no, for some reason, I decided that, like, for this particular story, I needed no actual notes. So this is all coming off a video that I watched on Vice. So I'm just going to throw that out to our listeners before I go into this story. And so basically, the original photo came from a gay porn photo shoot that Wordy did. Now, Wordy wasn't actually a gay man. Apparently, he was like around the town that he grew up in. He was kind of a local hero. People often called him the mayor. He was very personable with people, and gay porn like producer or some guy in the porn industry got to kind of talking to him in a gym, in Gold's Gym. That should narrow there down to where it is. It's probably in Florida. Isn't that where Gold's Gym is?
It's not like a national franchise.
I don't know. Yeah, it probably could be. I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, wherever Gold's Gym is, that's where they met. So wherever that is. Once again, geography, America. I don't know. But anyway, they met in there, and basically, the porn producer kind of approached him. Would he be interested? He's kind of hesitant because he is quite religious anyway. But like, he apparently used to give a lot of money to charity. And like, even at the expense, like he could barely afford his own mortgage. And basically, so a lot of people who knew him said the reason he probably did the photo shoot, did that iconic photo, was because he needed he probably needed money. He needed a bit of spare cash to pay his mortgage or pay his bills, because he used to do so much charity work. And even though he wasn't very well off himself, he actually used to give a lot of money away anyway. So like, he was a pretty nice lad. And talking about his lad, apparently it wasn't as big as it was seen in the memes, because like, obviously you could see that was obviously like photoshopped and made actual larger, but you wonder, was it as big, or was it just ginormously big anyway, or was it just a photo that people just somehow caught a life of his own? And it wasn't like Vice didn't show the size of his dick, but they obviously just mentioned that it was obviously enhanced to a greater extent. And apparently the pose that you see was one that your man particularly likes for gay porn stars to use when he's shooting them. But yeah,
the pose was.
Yeah, but it was obviously something. Now this obviously happened. Like, if he died in 2016, this photo shoot I think happened like a good few years prior to obviously his death. So this would have been in the archives. So no one really knows how it actually got from like a really old porn photo shoot to him being a meme for 2020. I think it was just kind of caught on. It was kind of shared first on Reddit, and then people start making memes on Reddit and all those 4chan and all those back channel kind of sites like that.
Yeah.
But his family really didn't know a bit really too much about the photo shoot, or obviously hadn't seen the photos up until that point. So imagine 4 years after a guy died, he pops up on a meme on his face. People are sending them pictures of their brother naked with an enhanced dick. And saying, "Is that your brother? Is that your brother? Is that Wordy?" It kind of caught the family were extremely distressed over the whole thing. Or as soon as it gets that viral, there's no controlling that photo. That photo can never be taken down. It's just copy and paste so many times. It's gone at that stage. It's viral. So they were really distressing over this, and they were trying, but did they have a kind of happy ending? They're saying that they were trying to actually fund money in terms of to get a gravestone on made up for him, GoFundMe page, kind of deal with overlapping kind of funeral expenses they had for his funeral that they're still trying to pay off, and they put up a GoFundMe. Now, since obviously the popularity of the meme, people are paying hundreds and thousands of euros to the GoFundMe because of the meme. So it kind of had a happy ending, I guess, in the story. But yeah, it was a really interesting kind of story. It just shows you how a photo can absolutely become more than actually the person themselves. That baby shaking the fist.
Yeah.
I always wonder whatever happened to that baby.
Does he even know that that's him?
Oh, you imagine it would. Or
I don't know.
Or Pint Baby. You ever wonder what happened to Pint Baby?
Not particularly, no.
I always wonder what happened to Pint Baby. Wonder, does he work in a pub? Does he drink at all?
He works for Guinness as a quality assurance tester.
Tester, yeah, exactly. I always wonder about figures like that, or people you see in photos of stuff like that. So to actually find a background story, and even though nobody knew anything about him,
you'd wonder though why that just kicked off after he was dead. I used to kind of just wonder how did it get from an archive of a gay photo shoot to 4chan or to Reddit to the point where somebody was are people just going through photos on gay magazines and going, oh yeah, let's screenshot this, make a funny joke and post on these things? It's a bit mental.
Because the photo shoot happened so many years before obviously the meme started. Your man had passed away at this stage. But
it's strange.
Yeah, it's really, really weird. Another thing that's strange is Apple. And they've, I think all companies are trying to...
Another thing that's strange. Great segue.
Yeah, I'm trying to work... I really am trying to nail my segues. Everything else about the show can be shit. If I can nail, solid, good segues between stories, I think it'll be the saving of the show. Yeah, well, Apple. What's strange about Apple is that they decided to make kind of a more of an environmentally friendly approach to their new iPhone. Now, it doesn't mean make more them from reused iPhones or reused materials. It means stop selling chargers.
Yeah, the charger won't come with the phone.
Yeah, so these phones are the new iPhone. I think the cheapest one is about 800 quid, and probably not too far off, maybe 1,000 quid, for the bog standard one.
Yeah, and it's mad, so they're advertising it as environmentally friendly and stuff because it's less plastic.
Yeah.
But all they're doing is there's no headphones. It doesn't come with headphones. It doesn't come with a charger. But some people were thinking, it might be a wireless charger. No, it doesn't even have a wireless charger. You have to buy the charger separately.
Do they still have the same input as the old iPhones? Some iPhone changes their input every few weeks.
Yeah, so it's got the same connections and stuff, but the the adapter is going to be less. There's less watts or something in the adapter, so chances are you probably do need a new adapter.
So like, I think if they are changing the charger mechanism, because generally if you had an iPhone, if you're buying an iPhone, you probably had an iPhone prior to this, so it's not necessarily a charger. Like you need a charger. It is nice to get a charger, but I noticed that with Sony, like obviously it's been a few years since I've got like a console. I remember last time I bought a console, it came with 2 controllers, and now it only comes with 1 controller. And it just seems like we are going through this thing where you're paying more and more for these products, and I know they have a certain more amount of technology built into them, but like you're also paying 3 times the price for like a console or a phone that maybe came out 3-4 years ago. Isn't like that these only increased by maybe £100. Like a phone like back in the like early 90s was a few £100, maybe £100, £200 at the very most. Yeah. Like for a phone to cost bog standard phone to cost nearly £1,000, and you don't get a charger, or like same with a console to cost nearly £1,000, and you don't get a second controller. It just seems very, very cheap by the makers of these big tech companies.
Yeah, like the thing with the iPhone as well is it's going to cost more than previous iPhones because it's got 3G connectivity or 5G connectivity.
Yeah, like, and 5G, fair enough, is coming out. It's going to be around the world pretty soon, but like, it's not widely available in most countries. Like you can get a bit in China in certain places, and there might be a couple around the US and the UK, but people keep fucking lighting them on fire. So they're not the most easiest thing to find or to get 5G coverage.
Like my phone struggles with 4G.
And I don't know, do you need like a different adapter in your phone? Is there like to take in 5G, or is that all hocus pocus?
I have no idea. Like it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know too much tech shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Now, I am a fan of Apple. Like, all my gadgets are Apple. Like, I record this podcast on a Mac. We're talking via Messenger, via, like, iPad on my, and I have an iPhone 8. Like, so, like, I do have a lot of Apple products. But I'm not necessarily a person who goes out and buys the newest Apple stuff. Like the new Apple Macs, I probably wouldn't touch. I'd probably go for the older generation Apples because they come with USB connectors, which the new ones don't. And my cousin, who works in as a sound, it doesn't work. He's studying sound engineering. They actually recommend to their students, all right, Mac's still like one of the best for this kind of like creative types of work, but get an older generation. So like not only are you paying more, the newer stuff isn't as good as the older stuff. It doesn't have as much stuff on it.
Yeah, like the newer stuff is just designed to break. Like even with Apple not providing a charger, and okay, maybe they'll say, oh, because you should have a charger from your old phone or whatever. But your charger with an Apple phone only fucking lasts about 2 weeks and then it breaks.
Yeah, you do. You end up going through a lot of chargers, and if you buy an Apple one, like they cost like twice the price. You can buy a really cheap one. And I remember talking to a person in an Apple store, and they said, "No, just go with the cheaper ones. They're the exact same." So certain people used to buy only Apple chargers because they thought the other ones mess up the phone, or they're not as good, or they don't charge the phone, or over time the battery will be damaged. And like anyone who worked in Apple that I've ever talked to, is like, no, the cheaper ones work just fine. They're the exact same. All it is just a cable.
It depends on the thing though. I remember I got a cheap Apple, or like a cheap fucking phone charger for my iPhone before, and it worked grand for like 2 days. And then the phone was like, cannot use this product. It's not an Apple official licensed product.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've got that before. Sometimes like you have to clean out the input of your actually phone charger, and you just need to get like a thing. There can be a bit of dirt there, and it works fine. But the fact that it was a brand new one and it's like that, yeah, sometimes it can be a little bit particular over certain chargers. There's certain cheaper ones that are the connectivity on the pads don't like connect the electricity too well or whatever the technical term is. It does kind of piss me off that with tech companies when you're charging like exorbitantly increasing on prices for very little, it's only like maybe bump up 2 or 3 in terms of a processing or in terms of like camera like quality or whatever. Like it's something that like realistically an iPhone 4 for what you use day to day, an iPhone 4 would work perfectly fine. The camera might be slightly worse, but like for most people wouldn't be as bad as like to the point where they use an iPhone 8. Like you really don't need anything anything older than an iPhone 8. Like they hit their peak with an iPhone 8. The camera is brilliant on it. Like, and all you really use is for the internet, like to go on message people or post photos. Like
the same with you see like the new iPods.
Yeah.
I have an iPod Classic. It's starting to kind of die now, and they don't make them anymore. So I'm going to need to buy a new iPod. And I was looking up like reviews of them, and there's a review of it where a guy is like, they come in like 32 gigs, 128, and 256 or something. And the guy is like, oh, you don't need anything more than a 32 gig because like you're not going to be using it for too much. All you're going to be using it for is FaceTime and Twitter and Facebook and stuff. And I was like, what the that's not what you use an iPod for.
Yeah, no, that's what you use your regular phone for.
Yeah, that's what your phone is for. Like an iPod is for fucking music.
Yeah, no, I would like, you know, those small little MP3 players.
Yeah.
Like if you're able to find one of those on eBay or whatever, like they'd be probably worth a punt if you want something just solely to store music. I know the iPods are kind of easy enough to use. They have a kind of a clear touch screen that you can use. They can see what artists are easy to navigate and all that. But yeah, like you shouldn't. The only thing you really should have on is apps that provide music or on your phone. Maybe YouTube. Maybe you just want to use it to watch YouTube. But like other than that, like that's all kind of like an iPod should be for, or iPod.
I just thought it was mental. Like this guy's doing a review of an iPod and he's like, you don't need it for music.
Yeah. Well, I guess like even with like streaming sites like Spotify and stuff like that, like you don't really need a whole lot of data because it's just basically all the songs. I know if you don't want to pay €10 a month, that's the only thing to listen to music. And like an iPod is probably best, or even just iTunes, or just a device just to hold music and keep in your car.
Like that's what I use my iPod for.
Just in your car, just play music.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I don't listen to the radio, like.
Yeah, no. When I was driving to Iceland, that's what we did. My friend had an iPod. And I changed my mind. I came back. I was like, these things are great devices. Like, you don't need internet. You don't have to like suffer through ads, and you don't have to pay €10 a month to listen to music. Like you can get free on your phone. Imagine telling us like a few years ago, oh yeah, in the future you're going to pay a person €10 a month to listen to music on your phone, and they're like, why don't you just use your iPod? Like buy music as you go along.
It makes no sense.
Why are we doing that? I own a load of CDs.
Yeah, like I've got a shit ton of CDs. It's actually sick how many CDs I have. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone used to have a giant music collection, so yeah, and like if a person got an album that you liked, you just share it with your friend. You go, oh, can I borrow that? I want to put it on my iPod, and then you just give it back to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then also you're taking away from the artists because they're getting fuck all money off Spotify anyway.
And they're getting nothing off Spotify.
Yeah, exactly, per stream compared to like if you bought actual record.
Like yeah, that's my little Apple rant.
Yeah, our little tech talk for today. Again, moving away from kind of Apple products and onto Oyster products.
The Oyster products.
Well, just like Oyster, basically. So like, there's a kind of a myth going around. You probably heard it yourself that oysters kind of increase your sex drive.
Yeah.
There was a girl on a date called Emily, and she basically heard this myth from the person she was on a date when she ordered oysters. I think she originally ordered them to share, and your man just didn't like fish. So she basically took into them. She was obviously a fan of oysters, and your man kind of sniggered, and she was like, "Oh, what?" He goes, "Well, oysters make you horny." Now, I can say it didn't actually work at that time because she didn't actually end up going back with him, and that's the only date that they actually have. But they got her thinking, what is the actual science basis around oysters and making people horny? So the scientific basis of why do people think oysters make horny is because oysters are high in zinc, and zinc aids the production of testosterone in both men and women. Testosterone actually increases your sex drive. So you often find, like, with people who actually take performance enhancing drugs, that they get, like, increased sex drive.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought, like, it had the opposite effect.
When you cycle off testosterone, your body stops producing testosterone. And so once you come off it, you cycle off it, your body is no longer producing testosterone, and you're not getting it artificially. So that's when men will find it hard to get erections and stuff like that because they aren't getting any testosterone. So that, yeah. But like, particularly for women who go on, they say their sex drive goes up quite a lot from taking steroids. Anyway, so like, she did a bit of research into this, and she found, like, this basically all started in the Roman Empire, where one of the empires of the Roman Empire used to eat 1,200 oysters for dinner through a course of a year.
I thought you were just going to say, like, a day.
Oh, no.
Like, what?
Yeah, no, dude. Like, I don't know how much of a laxative oysters are, but imagine if you ate 1,200. Like, they're going to be coming out slick and fast. They go down quite quickly. They're surely to be God, they come out quickly.
Oh, you'd imagine so.
You imagine so. And yeah, there's, like, throughout history, there's kind of other kind of folklore and other people, like, commenting on that. There was another guy who used to have a dozen oysters for breakfast every day, for that exact purpose of, like, increasing his libido.
Did it work?
Well, according to him, he obviously taught it. So your one decided to take matters into her own hands, and she's decided that she's going to eat oysters for a full week and see what happens. She's going to increase the dosage of the oysters throughout the week. So she started off with, like, one on Monday, and she had that, and she said, I didn't really... I think she worked in a bar part-time, and she said she was more interested in the lads' shoes than she was in the lads themselves. She then upped the dosage to 2. From that, she upped to 4, and she wasn't really finding any real effects. Now, throughout this time, she was having sex, and she said it was more to do with maybe she was out having oysters, and she was having a good time, and she liked the company that she was in. Rather than the fact it wasn't too much oysters. However, things started to change once she got to about 16. 16 oysters. This was about by the Thursday. She started to feel that, like, her mood was elevated, that she was more in the mood, but she, once again, wasn't actually necessarily convinced that it was exactly the oysters themselves. She said, well, I was drinking wine, and, like, obviously, I'm doing this research, so I'm constantly thinking about my body, which is then in turn make me think of sex. Maybe it's just the fact that sex is on my mind. By Saturday, she was at 32 oysters in one sitting. So she's down in 32 oysters. And she said after eating 32 oysters, she felt a little bit nauseated, but she had a weird sex dream. She had a weird sex dream where she was in a desert with a guy, she doesn't know who, having sex in the desert, and she said that he whispered into her ear, "Oh, you smell like oysters." Now, I don't think he was like complimenting her. I don't think, oh baby, you smell like oysters. I think it was more like, here, love, you smell a bit like oysters. Like it doesn't necessarily seem like the most attractive thing to smell like. I don't think someone's kissing their neck and going, I just love the smell of your salty breath.
Oh, sick.
Before I go on, have you ever had oysters?
No.
I don't know if I had oysters or if they're mussels, but I've had shell, and it just feels like phlegm going down your throat.
Oh, sick.
So like, it doesn't seem like it that like pleasant of an experience.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. So like, basically, the next day she was meant to eat 64. Obviously, she was doubling her dosage every day. She started at 1, she got 2, then she went on to 4. By Thursday, she was on 16. And by Saturday, she was on 32. So she was meant to eat 34, which seems like a fear factor challenge at that stage rather than...
That's definitely something Joe Rogan came up with.
Yeah, then now she did say she, like, after having the 32, she woke up feeling, like, really, really horny. So, like, but she couldn't stomach it.
That was probably the weird sex dream.
Yeah, now, I think after that, she went out to a bar, met a guy that she was flirting with, and had sex with him. And so, like, yeah, it could have been just that she had a guy beside and she just had sex and a sex dream. So it could have been a bit of both. I just realised that we're on to Ken's sex stories, just like with twist. It's a story I found.
Mark's sex
stories. Doesn't have the same ring to it for some reason. Yeah, but basically she woke up feeling horny. She said she couldn't stomach eating 64, but she did have a good dollop of oysters that same day. And she came to this conclusion, right, that, okay, if you're having 1 or 2 oysters, it's really not going to make a difference. In order to have any sort of impulse, you have to eat about 16 oysters in terms of feel any kind of a change in your libido, in terms of if it'll actually make you feel the slightest bit of horny. But she said even at that, like, if you're only eating 16, you kind of have to be in the mood for it anyway, like, and it'll enhance it. If you're like have no like interest, or you're not anyway thinking about like sex or anything like that, it won't really work. Now, if you have 32, if she said if you up it those to about 32, then you're more than likely going to suddenly get in the mood anyway. So that's their kind of advice. Like, the golden number is right around 32 oysters in terms of getting the right amount of libido into you, I guess.
That's fucking weird. Like, why would you put that much effort into fucking that?
Absolutely no idea.
Like, I don't know how much oysters cost either. Like, that would have cost a fair bit, maybe.
Yeah. Like, I think she lived in London based on her slang in the story, in the Vice story. Could have been the Vice editor or whoever was writing it up. Obviously, but yeah, like around London, if she lived around London, she was like going to a wine bar buying oysters. She said, like, by the end of it, like, the oysters that she was eating, she felt like they were aggressively fresh. Is how she was describing it. So you might turn yourself off oysters in the process of trying to turn yourself on.
Oh, definitely going to turn yourself off oysters anyway.
Yeah, no, like, whatever about, like, maybe if you're into oysters, and you're on a date, or you're in a restaurant and you order oysters, and you're thinking, oh well, this will make it more enjoyable if I'm really in the mood, then maybe order like 16 oysters
or 32.
Just like, just imagine going up to a restaurant. You're in a restaurant with a person you've just met, or a person you're in a long-term relationship. You haven't really talked about this through, and you're like, you go, and the waiter comes around, you're like, so what do you want to order? And obviously it's a French restaurant. And you're like, I want 32 oysters, please. 32.
Exactly 32.
Yeah, exactly. Not 34, not 35, definitely not 31. I want 32 oysters. Why? I want to enjoy myself later on. And if they're not in the mood, then you can enjoy yourself by yourself. I think this is some educational advice for our listeners. We don't generally give out educational advice, or when we do give or talking about something that people might take as educational advice, we have to warn them, do not take advice off the Shite Talk podcast show. But I think we can say today safely that you can actually take this advice, because I don't think there's any long-term health risks of eating 32 oysters. Maybe not eat them every day.
Maybe if you're allergic to shellfish, maybe don't.
I'm pretty sure if you're allergic to shellfish, you probably won't take this advice blindly. Like, all you really have to do is find out how much zinc is in 32 oysters, and then just supplement that in your diet. And you'll feel more hornier, surely. There's plenty of foods that have zinc in it. If it is the zinc that, like, it's causing you to get aroused.
It's just fucking mental, though.
Yeah, it is absolutely mental. I couldn't imagine eating 32 oysters. Like, I'd be kind of like you in the same boat. Like, what's the point? Yeah, I thought that was interesting enough. Now, one person that probably didn't need to increase her sex drive is Maya Knief. Definitely between the times around 2014 when she was working in the sex industry. She made 11 films, I think, in the space of 4 months. Because
3 or 4 months?
Yeah, no, she worked, I think around the time of 2014, she worked in the porn industry where she made 11 films, and while she was 21. Now, she only got paid $12,000 for her time in the industry. I was reading it now. I didn't fully go into any really big depth of the story. So when I was reading, the way I interpreted it was that for her 11 films that she made, she only made $12,000. Now, at the time, for people who may not know, yeah, right, by the way, who she is, she was, at the stage, she was like, I wouldn't say she was the biggest porn star in the industry. So for the biggest porn star in the industry to only make like 12,000 for 11 films, it's like, works out a little bit over 1,000 films. Yeah, so she's not really happy. Like, and during that time, she made a parody of a sex movie about ISIS, which actually led her to have a jihad on her name. Like, so people were fucking ISIS actually set with death.
Who the fuck thought that was a good idea?
Whoever was obviously producing the porn parody. I think it was like the two industries that she worked for was Pornhub and Bang Bros, or the two industries. So it was either them. I'm nearly certain that the porn parody was Pornhub, but I'm not too sure. I wouldn't know exactly if that was actually a Pornhub thing, but I'm nearly certain that was. She was more associated now in her heyday with Pornhub. In her heyday, back as she was 21 with Pornhub.
How old is she now?
She's 27.
Right. Okay.
She really doesn't like the industry that she came from. She talked openly about how, like, they kind of prey on vulnerable girls. A lot of them come from abusive backgrounds or stuff like that. And she's kind of, and they've also taken a lot of advantage of girls, especially with Pornhub. Like, they've bought over a lot of porn studios, so there isn't as much of competition, and they paid them a lot less than what girls would have been paid back in, let's say, the early 90s, 80s kind of Playboy heyday terms.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially after getting a jihad on her name. Now, if it is like 11 films in 4 months is very good turnover for an actress.
In all fairness, though, it was probably like 1 day shoots. Like, $1,000 a day probably isn't that bad.
Yeah,
in reality, like,
it's a lot of hard work. I'd say.
Yeah, but it probably is like just 1 day though.
Not really. Like, I think for filming in terms of porn, like for shoots take forever, because like obviously you have to have, like, lads might have to do a scene several times, and eventually lads are going to blow their load, and then you have to rehydrate and get their libido back up, eat maybe a few oysters to get their sex drive back up.
32 oysters.
Yeah. Obviously, oysters must be on like boxes and boxes delivered to the set. Yeah, so like that obviously would take time, and like I imagine like maybe a day of shooting to get. Like, obviously the films wouldn't be that long. I imagine like a porn movies like wouldn't get over an hour if that.
That's what I mean. Like, you're probably looking at like 1 day.
I wouldn't say a day now. Like just for post production of 4 sets and like Like I wouldn't say it would be a day shooting for 11. I think that's a little bit undershooting it. The fact that she got through 11 films in a year would mean I wouldn't say they're as jam-packed schedules as maybe a traditional actor in a movie that you might see in the cinema. But a day is a little bit like for a full film. Like there'd be different locations and all. Even if they use the same house, you imagine that it'd probably maybe take 2 weeks of solid.
So if she did, it was 11 films in 3 months.
Yeah, 3-4 months.
Yeah, so then it couldn't be longer than a week. 3 months is 12 weeks.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, so 11 films in 12 weeks, and you're getting paid $12,000. Shut up, whinging.
Yeah, no, that's for the porn industry. If you take in like how much money they're actually making on your name, like
so then don't sign your stupid contract.
Well, if you're I kind of take it like for people who are getting into this industry who come from abusive backgrounds who don't really. I know, like, obviously if you sign your contract, I do kind of agree that like you signed up for these amount of films and you get paid this much.
Yeah,
it obviously takes advantage of girls. So whatever about paying them a fair rate for the industry. Remember, like those films are going to stick with those girls for the rest of their lives. It's going to be very hard to transition from that into really anything else. Once you start doing porn, especially if you become like one of the biggest stars in the industry, it's going to be very hard to transition into like any other form of acting or any other walk of life. Like any job interview that they do any of a background check on you, that is going to come up.
It's the reason that people say, be careful what you put on the internet.
Yeah, but like, especially when she did a parody of an ISIS porn parody, like, and a jihad put on her name, and during that she said she wasn't comfortable, and she was kind of she kind of forced or peer pressured into doing that. It wasn't something that she was very comfortable with, and they only get like $1,000 quid for doing that and possibly having your life threatened. Like it isn't like going to Centra, or it isn't like going to a job where you're going into an industry where you're kind of, if you go into it, you're very hard to get out of. And they're 21. Like they're not you're not going to make the most brightest decisions at 21.
I don't know. You make stupid decisions, but like, come on.
Yeah. Well, I think her fans after
you're partly to blame for it yourself, like.
Oh yeah, I do agree. I definitely would agree that you're partly to blame for it yourself. Now, but I do think you should have the option of taking the movies down if they have a cause. I don't know. I think Pornhub did remove the ISIS video. Nearly certain they did. I think they were forced to.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, her fans ended up getting signed a petition. It's got 1.5 million signatures, and she said that everyone who signed that petition can come to her party. So she's going to have 1.5 billion people at her birthday party. She didn't actually necessarily say when her birthday party is or where it's going to be, but they're all invited. So if you have signed this petition, you can just find me and Akia's birthday. Just come up with a screenshot of you signed that petition, and apparently you're going to be invited. You're like, hey, surely you're going to be surrounded by ex-porn stars.
Or current ones.
Yeah, but she's kind of completely changed her look. Obviously, when she was in an industry, they paid for like these giant boob enhancements and all the rest. So she's actually got a lot of boob reduction, and she's came incredibly fit. So she has a six-pack. She looks like she's worked out. She looks quite healthier than what she maybe did prior to do this. Like, I remember seeing a video of her. I think it was shared maybe by like one of the news sites that's on Facebook, but it was like her Instagram of her going to a fruit market. I think it was around the same time she kind of like quit the porn industry. But she was dressed exactly like a porn star. She was dressed like in very, very revealing, like a blouse, like that was completely see-through, and she had like a very tiny bikini underneath it. Like, and you're like, you can't really be giving out the industry when you're still dressed like a porn star.
Yeah.
But I reckon what this is going to lead to is either a book or a documentary about it.
Oh, there's definitely going to be a book.
Yeah. Well, documentary. People are stupid. People don't read anymore. I'd say maybe documentary. Make it easy for people. Sign a deal with Netflix or someone and just look at the fine print. Make sure there's more than 12,000.
Yeah. You got caught with that one already.
Yeah, well, you imagine, like, if you, like, for people to go into this, the only thing that you think about why they would do it is, like, it's money, you're going to be paid far more than you would have if you worked that ordinary job. Now, obviously, for, like, 4 months work, 12 grand is far much more, even though like, fairness, 12 months, 11 films is a fucking good turnaround. Even 12 months, 11 films is a pretty good turnaround for per film. You imagine girls who do get into this industry would be, the only reason that they would actually get into it is that they said, oh, I'll work for a few months, make enough money, and then transition out of it. Like, you're not going to make a whole lot of money if, like, you're making 1,000 film. 1,000 film isn't a lot.
Again, though, it depends on how long the film lasts for. Like, if it's, like, max, if you're making 11 films in 12 weeks, like, max it's going to be a week.
Yeah.
It's like $1,000 a week is pretty good.
No, not necessarily for if you work if you work actually in any other film industry. It's quite, like, a lot of them would have.
Yeah, but if you work in another film industry, like, a film shoot's going to take 6 months.
Well, like, even, like, let's say EastEnders. Now, you're not obviously going to make a lot of, you probably don't make as much as people on EastEnders. At least then, like, if a person in EastEnders want to go transition to an office job, that it's not really going to be held against them. Whereas if you go to try to change your job for really anything, do a background check and you work in porn, you're not getting the same. You're not going to get the same amount. So you imagine the fact that, like, obviously this is going to stay with you. Obviously, a lot of people are going to see this and judge you. There should be a bit more money paid out to you because of this.
But, like, that's what the entertainment industry is built on, preying on, like, porn or not. It's built.
Yeah. The music industry is the same. Like, I think like there is a lot of industries out there that obviously are disgusting that do these kind of things, that, like, fill artists full of drugs and get them to sign illegal documents and stuff like that. And, like, obviously, like, I don't know too much detail into, like, her signing a contract or whatever. Well, that could be in that play or stuff like that could have happened. But yeah, it is a little bit disgusting. Anyway, this is going to go down a weird term. You think, like, Shite talk porn? This is going to have some funny things. It's kind of a very serious topic that we're not usually used to this kind of serious elaborateness. It's usually more lighthearted. We should get on to celebrations. I think this might get us back on track. I feel
a celebration at the end of it all.
Yeah, let's go on to celebrations. Now, this could actually cause an argument, and because, like, celebrations are actually replacing one of their more favoured bars. Yeah, have the detail. Ken with the details.
So they were spotted in do you know, like, the British food chain B&M?
Yeah.
You know them?
Yeah.
They've, like, started already stocking celebrations and stuff for Christmas. A customer noticed that the celebrations no longer have Milky Way in them. The Milky Way has been replaced with crispy rolls, which I'm quite happy about.
Oh, I'm fucking horrified. I don't even know what a crispy roll is. It sounds knackers.
Oh, you know crispy rolls. Crispy rolls are, like, savage. You used to have them when you were a kid.
No, get rid of the Mars bar. Always get rid of the Mars bar.
No!
Mars bar. Well, look in any bottom of any celebrations in any household, you'll see just loads of Mars bars just left there to rot, and then all Milky Ways. And Milky Ways maybe aren't the first to go. They are one of the last, but they definitely get eaten.
What you'll see at the bottom of a celebrations tin
is Mars everywhere.
You'll see the Malteser one.
No, Malteser one's one of the better ones. It's definitely.
You'll see the Malteser one. You'll see the Twix, and you'll see the Milky Way.
100% agree with the Twix. Like, okay, get rid of the Twix.
Yeah, get rid of Twix. We can agree on that. Get rid of
Twix. Get rid of the Twix. Keep the Milky Way. Milky Way are the nicest. They're just really easy to eat as well. Your mate doesn't have to work.
Bounty's my favourite.
Bounty. Yeah, I like Bounty as well, and that's also a Marmite bar for a lot of people. Yeah,
that's quite a controversy. That is.
Yeah, like people really don't like coconut and chocolate. Yeah, but, like, I can't believe the Milky Way. Like, I thought that was a fan favorite personally. I didn't think it was a controversial bar to like Milky Way. But yeah, I was really disappointed about it. And I've never heard of crispy whatever.
Crispy rolls. You've looked them up when we finish this. You've definitely you know them.
Sounds disgusting. I want my Milky Way.
They're really nice. They're like little mini Kinder Buenos.
Oh, Kinder Bueno. Oh, right. Yeah, they're quite nice. They're similar enough, I guess, as Milky Way. They've got kind of, if in that case, they have that kind of white milk chocolate in.
Yeah, they're good.
I still like me a Milky Way. And you're never going to buy it in a shop. You're never going to buy a Milky Way bar. So
no, nobody ever buys Milky Way.
Yeah, but it's kind of nice around Christmas time you get Milky Way.
Nah, sick. Don't like them. Like, they're the one in the selection box that used to always be left there. I would eat the Twix before Milky Way.
Oh, not really. Throw this Twix at your annoying sister. But it's a fucking. that's the only time that like a Twix leaves that box.
So your sister gets assaulted with Twixes at Christmas, does she?
If you don't make me tea.
Oh, that's a good thing to do with a Twix, actually.
What? Use it as a straw.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like people will buy a Twix bar though, but they won't necessarily buy a Milky Way because
exactly. But so why the fuck do you want a Milky Way?
Because it's sometimes like it's just nice to have. It's nice to find it in the box. And you're like, oh, a Milky Way. They're always like Milky Way were about maybe the third last week to go. Is that like for some reason? Like, I'm a fan of the Snickers, but Snickers gets left a lot as well. Snickers and Mars are always, like, the two. Like, Mars, for some reason, no one touches Mars. Like nearly...
Mars would be one of the first ones to go.
I don't know what is it in our house with Mars. Like, and, like, I wouldn't mind having Mars. Like, I'd buy the odd Mars here and there. But, like, I can't believe Milky Way. We're going to have to start buying Milky Ways, I guess.
At Christmas.
Well, you can buy those. They're not Milky Way, but there's certain shops do cheaper versions of Milky Ways. Like, I think Lidl have like you can buy like a bag of them. Just keep them in your house.
Buy a bag of them for like 10 cents.
Yeah, exactly, and just have the Milky Ways there. It's kind of I can't believe they've taken it out, and Ken's happy about it.
Yeah, I'm happy out.
Yeah. I think Heinz is another food company that's kind of shocked us as well. I've
really opened the game.
Yeah, well, they've brought out a range of Heinz-inspired sauces for ice cream.
Yeah. Well, like, they send you, obviously, with the pandemic, people have been getting it hard to get to shops and stuff. So you can order, like, make your own sauce from Heinz. And it comes with a recipe on how to make sauce-flavored ice cream. And there's 5 flavors. Ketchup, barbecue, saucy sauce, whatever the fuck that is, mayo, and salad cream.
Can I just say, first of all, the one thing that wasn't hard to do in this time was get to a shop. It was hard to get a fresh pint, but it was definitely not hard to get to the feckin' shop.
It was probably hard for like
the Heinz.
I don't know how easily. I don't know how easily Heinz is available in other countries.
Yeah, but imagine that this ad is directed at UK and possibly Irish people.
Because there is some like beer companies that are having problems sourcing cans.
Yeah, I know they ran out of flour in Ireland. No, they didn't actually run out of flour. They had loads of flour. They just didn't have any bags to put it in.
Yeah, so like, you never know.
Yeah, I guess so, but like, I would have imagined, that Heinz, like, in terms of like people getting to the shop, people were probably able to get to the shop to buy Heinz or buy ice cream.
No, that was the reason anyway. People might like sauce flavored ice cream apparently.
Oh, that seems like rotten. There's people who have phobias over like red sauce.
Yeah, like I don't know why the fuck you would want a sauce flavored ice cream.
Yeah, it doesn't like obviously it is sweet the sauce, but it's also quite vinegary, and it doesn't necessarily go with something that's as sweet as ice cream.
Also, what is saucy sauce?
It's very saucy. I don't know.
Like, what is that?
What color is it?
It doesn't say. Like, it just listed the 5 flavors comes in. Ketchup, so everybody knows what ketchup is.
Yeah,
Barbecue,
sauce.
we know what barbecue is. Mayonnaise, we know what mayonnaise is. Salad cream, we know. And then saucy sauce.
Yeah, it's like brown sauce. My friend, he is Spanish now, but he was giving out about brown sauce. Like, if you say to an Irish or English person, or Scottish as well, brown sauce, so you kind of have an idea. He thinks that pH brown sauce. You can buy cheaper versions of brown sauce. And he's like, well, what is it? What flavor? It's brown sauce flavor. It's like red sauce.
Yeah, it's brown flavor.
Yeah, and he's like, why don't you call like ketchup red sauce? And I said, we do call ketchup red sauce. That's what Irish people call ketchup is red sauce. And they're like, what do you call mayonnaise? White sauce? And I was like, no, white sauce is a different thing you put on ham.
Yeah.
White sauce was taken. So yeah, we had a bit of an argument over this, and I said you just can't get it in Spain. That's why. And then he picked up a poster of him when he was back in Spain, with brown sauce. It is very weird. It is very, very weird. But like, what's weirder is putting red sauce on ice cream. I wonder if any of our listeners has actually put red sauce on ice cream.
Yeah, or even like mayonnaise on ice cream. Now that's kind of a disgusting one too.
Anything on like any kind of those brown sauce, red sauce, like
anything on ice cream that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was trying to imagine some foods. People say ice cream and chips. We've kind of talked about this before.
Ice cream and chips is really nice. Actually.
Yeah, people like ice cream and chips. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I've seen people dip sandwiches into ice cream or into milkshakes and eat them.
What kind of sandwiches?
Like maybe had a bit of chicken lettuce. Probably had a bit of mayonnaise in it. Maybe had a red sauce. You dipped it in, yeah, as if it was like an egg. Dipping it into an egg.
Why would you dip a sandwich into an egg?
What?
You just said dipping a sandwich into the ice cream like it was an egg.
Because like, if you had a sandwich and you had like a soft egg, you could just dip the egg into the sandwich. Like, do you have egg sandwiches?
No, I don't really eat sandwiches.
Oh, so you see, that's why you find that weird. But like, people who eat egg sandwiches would have like, if you're having a fry, like you'd put like people who have a breakfast sandwich, which is like a fry in a sandwich, so that would have an egg. So the idea of having yolk on bread is an old tradition. So why wouldn't you, if you weren't putting it on the bread, not just dip it in and eat it? It's the same thing. That's not a weird thing to do. It's just like you don't eat.
I've never heard of that before.
Really? Like next time, if you're ever in a diner again and people are eating like fries or anything, watch people when they get to the toast in their hand or get like.
Yeah, I've heard of people dipping toast into eggs, but not like full sandwiches.
All right, yeah. Well, I dip full sandwiches into eggs. So it could be a Mark thing. I'd be surprised if our listeners haven't dipped full eggs, dipped their sandwich into eggs.
I doubt they have, Mark.
I wouldn't be. I dip sandwiches into anything that I get my hands on. Not milkshakes is where I draw the line. Like milkshakes is where I say no. But like if I'm having soup, I'll dip the sandwich into soup.
I know, I've heard of that.
Into egg. Into my cereal.
Yeah.
No.
Cereal?
Oh. Yeah, but like, it's just good lubrication for the sandwich to go down. You dip it full of, slides down there, straight into your heart.
Straight into your heart.
I'm pretty sure that's how food is processed. More research is needed. But yeah, I think that's... I thought that I didn't even think that was that weird.
Yeah, no, I think that's a bit strange.
Yeah, I just think you have a very selective diet, though. But like throughout the show, one thing I have learned about you see, you have very selective things that you eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like to you, a lot of foods are weird.
That's also true.
Yeah. But yeah, next time you have like you're making yourself a sandwich, fry yourself a soft egg and just try it. Change your life.
Is that another Shite Talk recommends?
Yeah, we've recommended a lot of things and we didn't have to take back any of them. Now we haven't checked with our lawyer friend. We might have to then do on next week's a rebuttal where we say the previous content in episode 148 you should be ignored at all. But yeah, we've told people to eat 32 oysters and to dip their sandwiches into eggs, but not milkshakes.
What if you're having an oyster sandwich?
An oyster sandwich into egg? Well, I imagine that thing's going everywhere anyway. Like, good luck holding an oyster in an egg.
I'd say that would leave some fucking stink.
Yeah, I imagine like just get the oyster to stay in the bread. You're gonna be eating very soggy sandwiches either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Our oyster sandwich not recommendation for this week's Shite Talk podcast show. We'll be back next Thursday.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a great review. Only great reviews.
We don't do bad reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't make idle threats idly either.
We'll send a strongly worded letter.
Strongly worded letter to your inbox at work.
Yeah. And your boss will know that you listen to the Shite Talk podcast show.
Yeah, like you said, we'll be back next Thursday, and we'll talk to you then.
Good luck.
Shut up and sit down.